Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rocky Tong, and I'm the Director and Head of Policy Research for Hong Kong SAR's Financial Services Development Council. It is an honor to be with your host today. It's a great pleasure to welcome all of you to this forum themed Advancing Transition Finance and Cross-Border Green Financing, and engaging the public to achieve a net zero economy. This is co-hosted by the Friends of the Earth of Hong Kong and the Financial Services Development Council. We are honored to commence this event by inviting Mr. Plato Yip, Chairperson of the Friends of the Earth Hong Kong, to deliver the opening remarks. His remarks will be entitled, Hong Kong Leads the Way in Transition Finance to Drive the World towards a Low Carbon Economy. Plato, please.
Thank you, Rocky. Good afternoon, a big welcome. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Plato Yip, Chairman of Friends of the Earth, Hong Kong. I shall first deliver my welcome speech in Chinese, and then I go by English. 尊敬的各位嘉宾、女士们、先生们，大家好！非常荣幸能够由香港地球之友和香港金融发展局共同主办这一次的 COP29 中国边会上，我来致这个欢迎词。首先，我谨代表香港地球之友向所有与会的嘉宾表示热烈的欢迎，并感谢大家齐聚一堂，共同探讨推动转型金融与跨境绿色融资、全民参与实现净零排放经济这一个别具创意、创新性和时代意义的主题。气候变化是我们这个时代最紧迫的全球性挑战，影响着每个地区、每一个企业，还有每一个社区的未来。亚太地区作为全球经济最具活力的区域之一，在应对这一挑战中扮演着至关重要的角色。亚太区的经济和人口快速的增长，导致我们的碳排放量已经占全球总量的1半以上。与此同时，亚太地区，尤其是香港和大湾区，由于我们独特的地理位置和人口高度密集，正面临海平面上升和极端天气事件的威胁。因此，采取及时果断的行动，增强我们应对气候变化的韧性，已是刻不容缓。尽管许多亚洲国家都在积极加快气候行动，但是据估计，在未来30年之内，我们这个地区相关的投资需求高达66万亿美元。如此庞大的资金需求，凸显出转型金融在推动低碳经济转型中的关键作用。我们必须认识到，转型金融不仅仅是资金的流动，更是我们应对气候危机的战略武器。通过转型金融，我们能够为绿色技术、可持续的基础设施和低碳经济的发展提供急需的资金支持。作为亚洲主要的金融中心和绿色金融枢纽，香港一直发挥着引领和桥梁的作用。我们致力于将国际资本引导至亚洲各地的可持续发展项目，致力区内的绿色转型。我们也在发挥着我们香港非常强劲的金融实力。香港是亚洲首个要求企业在2025年之前要做出气候相关信息披露的地区。通过和中国内地和欧盟的合作，香港率先实施了共通绿色分类目录，以促进跨境气候资本的流动。这些举措不仅有助于提高透明度和资本效率，更为区域和全球的绿色投资提供了重要的指引。截止到今年的8月31号，香港政府已经通过可持续债券的计划的发行，我们发行了2200亿港元，大概280亿美元等值的绿色债券。这些资金正在帮助推动一系列可持续的项目，涵盖了能源、交通、建筑等各个关键领域，为实现净零排放目标做出了实质性的贡献。此外，我们地球之友跟欧洲金融分析师联合会 FS 联手推出了环境、社会和管制的分析师认证 CSGA 课程。这个课程 帮助培养了一批具备专业知识和实践能力的 ESG 的分析师。目前，在香港已经有超过1500位毕业生在该课程当中获益，他们投身于证券公司、银行、投行、资管公司、家办等机构，在做 ESG 相关的业务，为推动可持续金融贡献他们自己的力量。这不仅是香港对金融市场的支持，更是香港对全球绿色金融人才培养的积极的贡献。当然，我们也很高兴地看到格拉斯哥近邻金融联盟在香港设立了分部，这会进一步加强对区域内的减排工作。香港作为绿色知识和金融枢纽，通过加入多个国际合作的项目，例如可持续投资能力建设联盟，为“一带一路”国家和新兴市场提供可持续的融资支持，推动全球气候金融的进步。今天我们这边汇集了来自政府、金融机构、产业界、科研机构、学术界、民间组织和创新技术领域的代表。我们非常荣幸能够跟大家共同探讨转型金融的前沿理念、模式和范例。正是通过这些跨领域的合作和对话，我们才能找到创新的解决方案，推动香港和大湾区的绿色金融发展，并为全球的绿色经济转型提供源源不断的资金和技术支持。我坚信，今天的讨论不仅将激发新的思路及合作机会，还将为全球气候行动注入新的动力。绿色经济转型已经成为全球不可逆转的趋势。香港作为连接中国和世界的桥梁，我们将继续在这一过程当中发挥我们应有的作用。作为一个民间组织，香港地球之友始终相信，只有通过各方的共同努力，我们才能够有效应对气候变化的威胁。我们呼吁更多的政府、企业和个人加入这一全球性的绿色转型的运动当中来，我们一起积极行动，勇于创新，共同为实现净零排放和绿色经济目标贡献我们的力量。最后，感谢各位的到来，并预祝本次编会取得圆满成功。Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a great honor to deliver this welcome address at the COP29 China Pavilion event, co-hosted by Friends of the Earth Hong Kong and the Hong Kong Financial Development Council. First, on behalf of Friends of the Earth Hong Kong, I extend a warm welcome to all attendees and express my gratitude for your presence as we gather to discuss the innovative and timely theme, promoting transition finance and cross-border green finance for public participation in achieving a net zero economy. Climate change is the most pressing global challenge of our time, affecting the future of every region, every business, and every community. The Asia-Pacific region, as one of the most dynamic economic areas globally, plays a crucial role in addressing this challenge. Rapid economic and population growth in the region has resulted in carbon emissions accounting for more than half of the global total. And meanwhile, Hong Kong and Greater Bay Area face threats from rising sea levels and extreme weather patterns due to our unique geographical position and high population density. Therefore, immediate action to enhance our resilience to climate change is urgently required. While many Asian countries are actively accelerating climate action, it is estimated that the region will require up to $66 trillion in climate-related investments over the next 30 years. Such an enormous funding requirement underscores the critical role of transition finance in facilitating the shift to a low-carbon economy. We must recognize that transition finance is not merely about the flow of capital, it is also a strategic instrument in our response to the climate crisis. Through transition finance, we can provide the essential financial support for the development of green technologies and sustainable infrastructure. As a major international financial center and green finance hub in Asia, Hong Kong has been actively playing a leading and bridging role. We are committed to directing more international capital towards sustainable development projects, facilitating Asia-Pacific region's green transition. Hong Kong is the first region in Asia to require companies to disclose climate-related information by 2025. By collaborating with mainland China and EU, Hong Kong has pioneered a common green taxonomy to facilitate cross-border climate capital flows. These initiatives enhance transparency and capital efficiency while providing essential guidance for regional and global green investments. As of August 31st this year, Hong Kong government has successfully issued nearly 220 billion or approximately $28 billion in green bonds through its sustainable bond program. These funds are driving a range of sustainable projects across key sectors such as energy, transportation, and construction, making a substantial contribution to achieving net zero emission targets. Additionally, Friends of the Earth has partnered with the European Federation of Financial Analyst Societies, or EFIS, to launch the Certified ESG Analyst CESGA program. This initiative is cultivating a new generation of ESG analysts equipped with the expertise and practical skills required. And I'm happy to report that today, over 1,500 professionals have graduated from this program, actively contributing to ESG-related work in various institutions, including security firms, banks, investment banks, asset management houses, and family offices. Now, this not only supports Hong Kong's financial market, but also positively impact the global green finance talent pool. We are pleased to see the establishment of branch of the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero in Hong Kong this year, further accelerating decarbonization efforts in the region. As a hub for green knowledge and finance, Hong Kong is engaging in multiple international collaboration projects, such as the Capacity Building Alliance for Sustainable Investment, CASI, to provide sustainable financing support to Belt and Road countries and emerging markets, thereby advancing global climate finance progress. Today's SAI event brings together representatives from governments, financial institutions, industry, research institutions, academia, civil society, and innovative technology sectors. I firmly believe that our discussions today will not only inspire new ideas and collaboration opportunities, but also inject renewed momentum into global climate action. The transition to a green economy has become an irreversible trend, and Hong Kong, as a bridge connecting China and the world, will continue to play a key role in this process. As a non-governmental organization, Friends of the Earth Hong Kong firmly believes that only through the collaborative efforts of all parties can we effectively address the threats posed by climate change. We call on more governments, businesses, and individuals to join this global green transition movement, to act proactively and embrace innovation and contribute to achieving net zero emission goals. Finally, I would like to thank you all for your presence and wish this SAI event a great success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Plato, for the enlightening speech. Now, we are privileged to have Mr. Daniel Arfong, Vice Chairman of the Financial Services Development Council, to present the keynote speech on leveraging Hong Kong's distinctive PPP expertise to advance global transition finance. Daniel, please.
Thank you so much, Rocky. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege for me to address you today, and I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all the leaders, experts, participants joining us at this China Pavilion event in Baku. And I extend that welcome on behalf of both the Financial Services Development Council, as well as our co-hosts, Friends of the Earth. I'd like also to extend a warm welcome to Ms Salina Yan, Permanent Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury of the Hong Kong Government, as our guest of honor. Also want to extend my thanks to CEEC and the China Ministry of Ecology and Environment for their steadfast support in making this event possible. Last year, in Dubai, the Financial Services Development Council embarked on an unprecedented journey with Friends of the Earth to collaborate in co-hosting a forum at COP29. This partnership has become a cornerstone of our commitment to sustainable development, and it's with great pleasure that we reconvene here today with Friends of the Earth to continue this enriching dialogue with all of you. This year, our forum adopts the theme, Advancing Transition Finance and Cross-Border Green Financing, as well as engaging the public to help us achieve a net zero economy. The topic is both timely and critical in addressing the urgent challenges facing humankind and facing our ecosystem. First of all, I'd like to set the global context and advance a call for urgent action, because we today find ourselves at a critical juncture in our quest for sustainability. Last year at COP29, we highlighted this urgency with the unveiling of the United Arab Emirates Declaration on a global climate finance framework. The declaration last year emphasized the necessity of fostering climate resilient, nature positive economies so as to ensure a transition to a net zero economy. It serves as a timely reminder of our responsibilities and the urgent actions required to address climate change effectively. This transition towards a net zero economy is not just a necessity, it also provides significant economic opportunities. The International Renewable Energy Agency's report last year suggests that transitioning to a net zero economy will require cumulative global investments of at least 150 trillion US dollars by 2050 to meet all the targets that we set for ourselves. Market analysis reveals that this represents an annual global transition financing gap of nearly 4 trillion US dollars. These figures are more than mere projections. They actually present a clarion call for immediate and sustained efforts to mobilize global financial resources. Next, I want to address the challenge of bridging the financing gap that I've just mentioned. In other words, the 4 trillion US dollar financing gap that must be addressed. Let's pause for a moment to understand what we mean by transition finance. Transition finance refers to the funding required to support the shift towards a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy. It encompasses a wide spectrum of financial products and services. These include financing for renewable energy projects, energy-efficient technologies, and the transformation of traditional industries to cleaner practices. Now, what challenges do we face in bridging this financing gap? Access to transition finance remains a significant hurdle for many corporations and ultimately for overall economies they function within. We need to address the hesitation of industry to meet financing required for new unconventional technology in traditional sectors. This reluctance stems from a technology agnostic approach of most financial institutions, which prioritize risk and return over specific technological advancements. As a result, a very substantial funding gap has emerged globally, but particularly in Asia. With 85% of our energy derived from fossil fuels, accounting for half the global energy consumption, Asia as a whole urgently requires targeted financial strategies to support its transition to cleaner energy sources. This year, an IMF study reveals that emerging and developing Asian economies will require at least $1.1 trillion annually for climate mitigation and adaptation. Current investments fall short of this 1.1 trillion target by 800 billion annually. This substantial funding gap underscores the urgent need for innovative financing resources to tailor to our region as well as global circumstances. How do we address this gap? And this is the point I wish to address in my next section, which is the role of public-private partnerships in transition finance. In this particular realm, all of us play a pivotal role in moving away from carbon-intensive practices towards sustainable low-carbon technologies and processes. This involves significant investment in renewable energy, energy efficiency, low-carbon transportation, infrastructure, and many other sectors. This transition requires concerted efforts on the part of both the public and the private sectors. Although we anticipate an increase in public investment, this will likely fall short of what we need. So we actually require private financing to cover approximately 80% of necessary investments. And this is where public-private partnerships, PPPs, become critical. These partnerships can bridge the gap between public policy objectives and private sector innovation and capital. Now, where does Hong Kong come into all this? It's our contention that Hong Kong plays a unique role in advancing transition finance. Given Hong Kong's position as a global financial center and a hub for capital formation, we are uniquely qualified to lead global efforts in green technology and financing green technology. We offer key advantages that position us at the forefront of this global transition. First of all, Hong Kong has an abundant capital pool sourced both from domestic, meaning Hong Kong and Chinese mainland, as well as international capital pools. The growing presence of family offices in Hong Kong, with Hong Kong as a family office hub, not just for Asia, but globally, that adds to the spectrum of tools that we have to cover transition finance. Capital is not just resource. Capital is actually a very powerful tool which can be channeled towards sustainable projects and initiatives. Equally important, apart from private capital, is the support on the part of the Hong Kong government. Hong Kong government supports strategic initiatives to promote fintech to play a crucial role in supporting this green transition. These initiatives include incentives for talent development as well as financial support for innovative projects. Hong Kong's deep pool of financial expertise is yet another crucial asset that we can bring to the table. Hong Kong is home to some of the world's top financial talent pool who bring innovative thinking and a global perspective to the table. Lastly, Hong Kong excels in fostering PPPs, public-private partnerships, which are crucial for transition finance. We have a long track record of successful PPPs in various sectors, and these partnerships allow for pooling of resources, sharing of risks, alignment of public policy goals with private sector innovation. And this helps create a dynamic ecosystem which can effectively address complex challenges. This collaborative approach not only accelerates development of sustainable projects, but also ensures their long-term viability and impact. As I conclude my remarks, I urge each and every one of you to consider how you can personally contribute to this critical transition. Whether you're a policymaker, a business leader, a financial professional, or a think tanker, your role is absolutely critical. Let us all commit to fostering more public-private partnerships, developing innovative financial products, and sharing specialist knowledge across borders. Hong Kong is ready to be your partner in all of these endeavors. We offer our expertise, our financial infrastructure, and our unique position as a global financial hub, which we place at your service. And we hope that with our unique blend of financial acumen, strategic location, robust infrastructure, the rule of law, an independent judiciary, etc., that our value is something that enables all of us as we collaborate to turn 2 + 2 into 5. Together we can create a financial ecosystem that funds and accelerates the transition to a sustainable future. And I urge all of us to seize this moment, leverage our strengths, and chart a course towards a sustainable future for the sake of humankind and our ecosystem. Thank you all for coming. I hope you will all find today's discussions rewarding, inspiring, and an impetus to broader and deeper global collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for an inspiring speech highlighting the strengths of Hong Kong and what Hong Kong is offering to the world. Now, we would like to invite Professor Amos Tai, Associate Professor, Department of Earth and Environmental Sciences, Faculty of Science, the Chinese University of Hong Kong, to the stage. He will speak on the topic, the role of civil society in climate transition and finance. Amos, please.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. All right, great. I'm very, very glad to be here to speak to you about the role of civil society in climate transition and climate finance. So thank you very much for this particular opportunity. And I think all of us here understand how multilateral partnerships are very important in climate action. Of course, climate action, SDG 13 is one among the 17 SDGs, but we all understand how important it is to take climate action, which would then essentially contribute also to other SDGs. And at the same time, though, effective climate action really requires synergistic actions that can address other SDGs. So multilateral partnerships, including many different players in every part of society, is very important. So what partners or what roles or what players are particularly important? We can usually divide the society into maybe 3 main parts, of course: the governments, different governments, businesses, and also civil society. And today I'd like to speak to you on the roles of civil society as the important bridges between governments, businesses toward effective climate action. So what is really civil society? As you can see here, it includes basically any individuals and organizations which are not part of governments or the business world. That would include NGOs, academia, universities and other educational institutions, religious institutions, and indeed all citizens, all of us sitting here, consumers, private investors, and activists. So, because I am a climate scientist from a university and also the board of an NGO, I will speak today in particular of the role of academia and NGOs in climate transition and finance. So, one of the core value of academia, of course, is research, data, and innovation. By data, I mean really to develop tools to monitor the data, collect the data, and analyze the data. So effective climate actions definitely require a lot of data demonstrating the current climate trends, as well as better projections of future climate-related risk to really enable effective action. So academia is really key to provide the tools, the technologies, and also innovative ideas that can, for instance, incorporation of AI technologies in the other sectors to make evidence-based, which is a very important term, evidence-based action and planning. As you can see here, I'm not sure whether it works, but okay, you to see the schematic picture on the right is exactly what we in the academic, scientists, and also many other people in academia can actually do. For instance, we do different kinds of experiments to really gather scientific data. I myself, I am a climate modeler, and we basically run climate models to really project what would happen in the future. But then we don't only, rely completely on the computer. We have to collect a lot of data from satellite, remote sensing, field measurements, and using different techniques like machine learning and other technologies of AI to really incorporate data and our computational tools to project the best projections, to have the best projections of climate variables and any risk or any social variables related to the climate, and provide you with the predictive capability to make the best evidence-based decision. So just some example on the right, you can see some of the things that academia can really provide. For instance, we can integrate satellite data and a lot of field data to really identify the hotspots of methane emissions. So in the past, it's very, very difficult to control methane emissions because it's like very many different kinds of sources. But now the technologies developed by academia in collaboration with, of course, government institutes can really go into very fine details into the hotspots of methane emission, basically giving you a very good ability to do monitoring, all right? And then to really see where the money is going to when we are talking about climate transitions. And on the left, you can see, for instance, even business research can help a lot with the business world by, for instance, developing business sustainability index, really integrating multilateral data to help businesses evaluate how much they have been doing, how well they have been doing, or how poorly they have been doing in terms of making their businesses more sustainable and more ESG focused. So, and of course, academia is where a lot of education and public outreach can be done. Here is just like a framework provided by UNESCO on what we mean by education for sustainable development. What we often do is to really help students, of course, at the university, but also general public, also people in the business world, how they can cognitively understand, critically think about climate change as a problem, but also to develop their social, emotional sort of attitudes toward climate change, trying to develop empathy and also emotional resilience, and finally, maybe to really effect changes in people's habits, actions, and even their vocations. So here, this is like examples from CUHK, where I'm from, but by no means it is, like only CUHK is doing this. Like all universities, many universities in the world, some of the other, a lot of people here today are also from universities. We have been doing a lot of different kinds of things. These are just some examples of what we can do. For instance, on the right, you can see we incorporate sustainability into our curriculum. We develop, for instance, interdisciplinary programs teaching different students about sustainable development and climate change. But at the same time, we can also focus on, say, general education, courses that every student can take. We are starting to incorporate what it means to protect climate, to do climate action. So, so of course, on the right as well, community and youth engagement is something that the civil society can really do. CUHK has this Museum of Climate Change, which has been doing a lot of public advocacy and education work, and youths are definitely a very important part. The world ultimately would belong to the youths today. So, empowering the youth to really be involved in climate action and climate finance is something that we think are very, very important. And yeah, so of course, a lot of different kinds of trying to build a sustainable campus and providing sort of resources for other campuses to do that would also be part of it. Finally, though, well, then let me switch gear a little bit towards another very important component of civil society, namely NGOs. So NGOs basically can serve as a very important bridge between businesses and governments, right? So of course, governments or businesses themselves can do a lot of great things, right? But then they cannot do everything. NGOs actually really fit into that sort of missing link between governments and businesses. For instance, civil awareness of climate change, which is very essential to drive desire of society to enhance economic prosperity, social equity, and environmental protection and resilience under climate change. All of these kind of civil awareness, of course, is important in driving climate action from the bottom up. And NGOs, for instance, like Friends of the Earth and many others, are crucial in basically sort of advancing public awareness of environmental and climate issues. And of course, NGOs can empower citizens to really take action, and including, for instance, ethical consumerism and behavioral shift. But today we are talking about finance, right? Can NGOs also play a role in climate finance in the business world? Of course, as Plato has already mentioned a lot, and Daniel has also mentioned, NGO can be part of this bridges to motivate private investors and businesses to really engage in ESG investing. Plato has already mentioned how, for instance, Friends of the Earth have been a host and also a partner to promote the certified ESG analyst program, whereby about 1,500 people in Hong Kong have already been certified, and they are in different areas and different sectors of Hong Kong's business world, where they're more ESG-minded or sustainability-minded approach can really help businesses transform to become more sustainable and climate-oriented. And of course, NGO can help promote divestment or shareholder activism to really gear businesses away from high carbon production activities and also to green every single part of the supply chain. To conclude, civil society, including academia and NGOs, are really important bridges, helping to translate the latest scientific discoveries as well as technological innovations into really actionable practices for governments, for businesses to really transition toward carbon neutrality. So hopefully this is a good sort of a summary of the role of civil society the crucial role of civil society in climate transition and climate finance. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Tai. And now, next, we'll move on to our panel discussion session for the day. And I'd like to first introduce our moderator, Dr. King Au, Executive Director of the Financial Service Development Council of Hong Kong. Together with him, we're very delighted to have the following distinguished panelists who are, first, Ms. Ms Salina, Permanent Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury Financial Services, the Government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China. Professor Chung Yu Anthony, Council Member of the Hong Kong Institute of Directors. Ms. Mak Cho Wei Serena, Executive Director of Sustainable Finance Institutional Banking Group, DBS Hong Kong. And last but not least, Mr. Lau Pui Sheng Albert, Co-founder and CEO of Yip Advanced Technology Limited. Our panel discussion will focus on the theme Synergizing for a Sustainable Tomorrow: Government, Regulators, Corporations, Financial Institutions and Society, Propelling Green Transition and the Economic Excellence. I'll now pass the floor to you, Dr. Tao, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm not going to introduce our speakers because their names are on the screen, so to save time. Professor Amos just talked about the importance of public-private partnership. I would like to start the first question with Salina. As we all know, climate change is getting very urgent issue for everyone. So how is the Hong Kong government has been working on this front, in promoting green finance, and also some of the initiatives I understand are specifically trying to target environmental stewardship and sustained economic growth. So, Salina, please share your
Thank
view
you,
with
King.
us.
First of all, it is really a great honor and privilege to join this panel on the first day of COP29 here in Baku in the China Pavilion. Indeed, green and sustainability occupies a very high place and priority in the government and the Hong Kong Special Administrative Regions government's policy agenda. As King, you rightly put it, Hong Kong is a very vibrant international financial center. Not only we have a very active listing platform comprising more than 2,600 listed companies. We also have a very deep and sophisticated bond market, asset management sector, and not only the public financial market, but the private market comprising private equity, venture capitals, family offices, and so on and so forth. So there is a very big room and role for us to use financial platform as a channel to channel funds to green and sustainability projects. So we have been doing a lot to promote this, to address this global issue. But in a few minutes, let me just put these our efforts into three categories or three areas. First is to create an enabling policy and environment for really building a green financial platform. Second is to create the necessary infrastructure, just like the human blood vessel system, to bring the necessary nutrients to the well-functioning of our organs. And third is really to align with international best practices and standards. So let me just to address the enabling policy environment, as everybody has just pointed out, it is a collaborative effort to achieve net zero in this century. And collaboration not only between private-public sectors, it is also necessary for collaboration within the government setup. Because in Hong Kong, for example, we have different policy bureaus, like here in the Financial Services and the Treasury Bureau responsible for financial services development. We have the Environment and Ecology Bureau responsible for environmental protection matters. We also have 5 or 6 financial regulators. So we have set up a high-level steering committee, a group for interagency actions to make sure that our policies are coherent in addressing climate change and developing climate finance. So apart from us, the FSDB, the EEB, we include our banking regulator, our securities regulator, our insurance regulator, as well as our pension regulator, and on financial reporting as well. So for these cooperative efforts, we engage in the marketplace and also bring information to the marketplace instead of asking petitioners to find the information. For example, we developed methodologies for data for risk management analysis. And we also, for example, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority just published last month an action agenda for banking institutions, mandating that banks in Hong Kong need to achieve net zero for their own operations by 2030, and also net zero for their financed emissions by 2050. This is very aligned with the Hong Kong net zero goals. But you said, oh, you are pointing fingers, you are mandating market players, but we are also trying to assist you, banks, financial institutions, to achieve this. For example, we are issuing guidelines. We are issuing directions or with examples to how to achieve this. We also walk the talk and lead by example. Plato and Daniel mentioned the green bonds we issue under the government green bond and infrastructure bond program. These bonds are issued under very rigorous also scrutinization on third-party assessment processes, not because they are government green bonds, we can afford to be more lax in that regard. We also publish annual reports on those usage of the process raised from the green bonds so as to provide transparency for the usage, that they are really funding very worthwhile green government public projects. This is one example. I mentioned the Hong Kong MA giving direction for banks. The Hong Kong MA, as the manager of our exchange fund, which stands at currently $420 billion, also put itself, taking the responsibility itself to achieve net zero in the investment portfolio of this investment fund, exchange fund in particular. And it also will make it a specific focus to diversify into transition finance, especially for the Asia region. So this is walk the talk and live by example so that the marketplace can create an ecosystem. Now, this leads me to my second category is creating the infrastructure. It is very important because of the diverse nature of green finance. You need to start with something, a prototype, a standard. So in this respect, we have developed the taxonomy on 4 categories covering power generation, transportation, construction, water and waste management, which are the major. We are not a big carbon emitter in Hong Kong, but these are the major contributors. Nevertheless, we published this first edition in May this year. Already, we are reviewing the coverage, and I'm happy to say that in the next stage of its development of our Hong Kong taxonomy, we will pay special focus on transition finance, helping to transit from high carbon emission to low carbon emission. This is one example of it. And of course, you have heard about the core climate. It's the voluntary carbon trading engine we have set up under the Hong Kong Clearing and Exchange, our stock exchange, is doing well, fine. It's a voluntary carbon emission platform. And I think we are going to expand this and are willing to explore more cooperative in that marketplace. And I would also emphasize that, like Hong Kong in general, we are very uniquely placed between the mainland China, we are now in the China Pavilion, and the international financial market and investment pool of funding. So we can issue, like our green bonds, not only in Hong Kong dollar, not only in international currencies like euro, US dollar, but uniquely, we also issue our financial products, green bonds, in renminbi. So the core climate voluntary carbon trading platform, it is also uniquely dealing in different currencies, including, I think it's first of the world in the world, in renminbi voluntary carbon products as well. I cannot sort of omit the effort in capacity building, of course, in building a conducive environment. We are providing support for professionals, market participants, even our students who aspire to join this space with funding support for they to enroll in courses, in ESG courses, in sustainability courses. I'm happy to say that they are very well received. We have now approved more than 4,000 applications. Now, lastly, on alignment with international standards, Hong Kong is, of course, a very open economy. We serve the mainland market, we serve the international market. So it's necessary that we, on top on the foundation of our common law system, we are aligning with our standards and practices with international requirements. And specifically, I'm thinking of disclosure, sustainability disclosure standards. So our chief executive has already announced that Hong Kong is going to align fully with the ISSB announced standards. And we are going to very soon publish a roadmap as to the concrete steps to achieve this. We have embarked on the first one or the second one as well. Hong Kong Exchange is already requiring listed companies, the bigger ones, to disclose the sustainability practices. And our accounting professional body, the HKICPA, has already also published a consultation document aligning with ISSB standards as the basis of the Hong Kong standards. So stay tuned. We'll very soon publish this roadmap. So I guess that Hong Kong as a very vibrant IFC, we have very vibrant market places and forces, but with the government's support and motivation, we can bring out the best in the marketplace operation to address climate change and sustainability finance.
Thank you so much, Salina, for that very comprehensive overview. Now, I want to ask a very controversial question. Thanks, Salina, for that very comprehensive overview. I want to ask a controversial question. Anthony, you got the short straw, because Salina mentioned a lot about standards. Actually, Hong Kong as an international financial center, how can we deal with all these evolving international standards to make these standards sustainable practices? Right? Yeah, sure. Anthony.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. And Salina indeed has shared about a great perspectives from the governmental point of view. Allow me to share my 2 cents and observation from the heads of international NGO and standard setters. I think, Ken, you're right. We all agree that everyone's in Baku at COP29 conference, that all the global standards are fast evolving, okay? And I must say that Hong Kong is actually doing a pretty good job in terms of alignment of international best practice, both on the regulatory side and the voluntary side. Regulatory side, I think, to echo Salina has shared, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, the HKEX, has become the very first exchange to make sure that, like all the listed company in the jurisdictions will have to be reporting ESG disclosures to be fully aligned with ISSB. Now, on the voluntary front, a lot of discussions is happening. So to just give you an example, before we fly over to Baku this week, Salina and I was actually having a lunch last week with the chairman of TPI, Transition Pathway Initiatives, which I'm sure some of you are very familiar with. We were talking about how to, scaling up the scalability and also leverage on the companies in Asia Pacific so that they will be able to have better transition plans and data available to the public. The other one, which we felt that is very crucial. Now, I think it's fair to say that for this region, Asia Pacific, as of the latest figure, is still accounting for more than 65%, almost 2/3 of global GHG footprint. So that's what makes us essential. Now, the second thing that I would like to add on is actually the role that Hong Kong might play as being an international green finance center. Now, Ken, you are the executive director for FSDC. I'm sure a lot of people or many cities will be telling you that they are aiming or aspiring to be an international financial center. To me, what really differentiates Hong Kong, you need to be both supportive and resourceful. Now, Salina has mentioned about the capacity building schemes that we nickname as the Hong Kong Green Talent Scheme. Indeed, for industry practitioners, I think the program subsidizing 80% of the program costs, and for students, 100%. I actually look at across various jurisdictions and markets, is by far the most generous program in Asia. As a result, we have a lot of practitioners. Chairman Plato and also Professor Amos has mentioned about the Certified ESG Analyst Program, CSGR, and I think not just the number itself, but Hong Kong has actually one of the top, well, it's by far the jurisdictions with the most qualified certified ESG analysts, top 5 in the world. So I think that's one of the examples that I would like to give. The other one, I would say, is the Green and Sustainable Finance Grant Scheme, which actively promotes the adoption of some of the standards and by subsidizing the cost. I think one of the quotes that I could get from my friends from CDP or CBI, the Climate Bond Initiative, is that these schemes are punchy and also generous. So again, and then another example. The third one, I would say that to look ahead, what Hong Kong would be really focused on is definitely spearheading the development of transition finance standards for Asia Pacific, particularly for the hard-to-abate sectors. And the second one is to really to help in shaping some of the standards. Very quick example, the Greenhouse Gas Protocol, which is the foundation of all carbon accounting and calculations, being used by GRI standards, ISSB, you name it, have set up the inaugural Independent Standards Board, the ISB, last year, and I have the honor to be appointed to be a board member of ISB, representing Asia. Now, below this Independent Standards Board, they've actually set up 4 technical working groups, which is actually well represented by sustainability professionals and representatives of some Hong Kong businesses, Tangas, Swire Pacific, you name it. So I think we are all putting, chipping in contributing this global important agenda. So finally, I think one more additional angle, King, if I may, is that if you look at the presidency for Baku in COP29, just transition is such an important theme. We have our friends from the Korea Pavilion opposite us. Next to us is the Africa Pavilion, and we've got multinational banks just round the corner. Now, I think indeed, what Hong Kong really should play as a role is to be the hub of financing and driving sustainable development and also just transition for the global south, the real hub for the emerging markets and developing economies.
Thank you, Anthony. Yes, we've talked a lot about standards, right? Now I want to talk about green tech, right? Oh, by the way, you talked a lot about green bonds. I want to highlight that 37%, right, of the Asian green bonds are now issued in Hong Kong. So we've talked a lot about finance, but let's talk about green tech. Yes. Albert, you have created a very innovating green tech approach. But in Hong Kong, we have this GBA area that is huge, 90 million people. In terms of GDP, it's the size of Canada or South Korea. So in your view, how can a startup in Hong Kong take advantage of this opportunity on zero transition?
Well, thank you, Dr. Au. Let me first introduce what we do first. Well, we do hydrogen, of course. Hydrogen, despite the world having thrown in billions of dollars over the past 2 decades, but yet hydrogen is nowhere to be found. So what we have done is we have invented a nanoporous silicon material, which we call SI+, that addresses all the pain points of hydrogen, primarily on how you store it and how you transport it. So SI+, in a nutshell, it's the world's first long-duration energy storage material. It's certified non-dangerous goods, such that you can use traditional and existing logistics to deliver this energy source. You put it into a basic solution with a simple stirring device, and then you get pure hydrogen. So it's like your Nespresso machine. You plug in a power cable, you put in the capsule, and you get your coffee. So as simple as that. The remains of this whole reaction, because it's a chemical reaction, the remains of the chemical reaction are sodium silicate, which is a widely used commercial product in paper industries, textiles, and even it can be the binder of making geopolymer concrete. So to a lot of people, geopolymer concrete, what is that? We can view it as green cement. it can be used to build buildings. In regards of carbon footprint, we're at COP, so I have to talk about carbon footprint, right? So when we use recycled silicon from end-of-life solar panels, for example, following strict ISO protocols, we directly become carbon negative. Just following the numbers, and it becomes a carbon negative number. I've been challenged previously by some experts in the field and say there's no such thing as carbon negative, but it's what the ISO protocol says, so I am carbon negative. In terms of cost, at such an infancy of my technology, we are already on par with diesel. And with scale, and well, I'm not including any sort of carbon credits or the green capex subsidies that a lot of governments provide, with scale, we are looking to be on par and even cheaper than diesel. So in commercial sense, we are going to land tentatively next month in Hong Kong at a construction site, and that is directly going to be used to replace diesel. Having said all of that, what from Hong Kong can do? Hong Kong is known as an IFC, right? But Hong Kong, believe it or not, is open. It provides a very infinite opportunity landing ground for green tech. For example, since we have reinvented the whole hydrogen economy, this opens up a lot of different usage scenarios in urban cases in Hong Kong, replacing backup diesel or emergency gensets, which generate CO2 for no reasons other than following regulatory requirements, or for rural areas, providing microgrids, which can generally then become grid balancing solutions. For the GBA, low altitude economy has been one of the hot topics lately. With that, currently what we all know is battery EVs, or battery unmanned aeronautical vehicles. Battery UAVs have a lot of problems of its own primarily because of range. And with batteries, colder weather doesn't really work. So, hydrogen drones are already available, but the problem is, where do you get hydrogen? Where do you get the gas? That has always been the problem. So what we can do is we can land these on-demand hydrogen systems, low capex, very high safety factor, low OPEX. And then we can place these hydrogen stations pretty much everywhere. That follows what Elon Musk did 15, 20 years ago. He built charging ports across California and in the East Coast, and then it transformed into charging stations. This is just directly following what Elon Musk did with pushing out EVs. So that's the opportunities that we have in Hong Kong and the GBA. With this radical approach, it actually undermines the whole world's view of how hydrogen economy is. Everyone sees it by its own constituents, how hydrogen is made, how it's being transported, how it's being used. But for us, we provide a fruit platter. Everything is all in that solution. And that, with the Hong Kong and GBA, I believe Hong Kong can be the forerunner and be a lighthouse for hydrogen economy 2.0.
Exciting. Thank you, Albert. Now, we talked about capacity earlier. Now we have, green tech startups. Finally, we have to come back to Hong Kong as an international financial center. So, Salina, can you share with us what are the innovative products that the market has come up to help us with this transition journey? And
Sure.
also, if you have any challenges, can you share that with us as well?
Dr. Ang, I feel like I have the short straw being the last one for this question. But then I think from everybody who have actually commented, banks in Hong Kong, we've been at the forefront of developing green finance solution to support the city's transition, but more importantly, across Asia's transition to a sustainable future. Now, of course, this includes things like green accessibility-linked loans that incentivize corporate clients to adopt a more environmentally friendly practice. But we're also seeing this translating into trade finance lately, and also into small and medium enterprises. Professor Tai actually was also mentioning about civil awareness. And one thing that is quite interesting for banks is that we are at a very good opportunity to be able to educate businesses and corporate owners through the availability of green and sustainability financial products about how they can mobilize capital or how they can shape their own business into a more sustainable angle. And so I think this is a unique role that banks can play alongside, our education and awareness programs with small and medium enterprises. Now, of course, a lot of us actually, Chen was mentioning about energy transition as well. Now, of course, we do look at financing packages for companies investing in technology such as renewable energy, energy storage, energy efficiency, what have you. All these are very much sought after by, investor and banks alike. Another thing that is quite interesting is the taxonomy. From banks, we very much welcome the development of taxonomies. We try to align our green finance product with the taxonomies because it is a great tool that provides transparency and definition to the products in the market. So we do look forward to more of such taxonomies, including the one for transition, because I think for hard-to-abate sectors or the high-emitting sectors, where the risk is actually a bit higher, a transition taxonomy will put the right accelerator to, the capital where it's going to go. For us, of course, some banks participate in the International Climate Finance Initiative. Some, like G-Funds, like for us, we are in the Green Finance Principle for Belt and Road. We're actually also in the China Green Finance Committee. So banks actually do try to play a part as a practitioner, offering some of what we see and hear from the market, from our banking partners, from our corporates, to actually feed it back to the regulators, to the general communities. We've also actually, thanks to the Green Talent Scheme, we have to say, have been building our own capacity for sustainable finance teams. More and more, we are actually seeing sustainable finance teams being built in Hong Kong for banks. And this is definitely thanks to the capacity building scheme and the talent subsidy that we have seen in the market that has boosted the talent pool in the region. Now, last thing I do wanted to mention is that banks are part of the whole ecosystem. So we cannot decarbonize on our own. So Salina was mentioning about finance emission net zero 2050. We have the same goals. The thing is, finance emission is our portfolio for what we have lent to corporates. So it is actually important that we are able to mobilize corporates to decarbonize together with us. Now, high-emitting sector, hard-to-abate sector is definitely one key part of it. But the other part of it, industry that relate to our everyday life, the 衣食住行, right? The apparel, food and beverages, transportation, logistics, for example, are all facing the need to reduce their carbon footprint and adopt more sustainable practices also. So I think for banks in Hong Kong, we need to continue to work closely with our clients to understand their unique challenges and to be able to develop customized financial solutions with all the helps from the policy, the subsidies that we have to help everybody to create a low carbon transition.
Yeah, thank you, Salina. I'm excited that we have this ambition, that is Hong Kong, to become a green finance hub for the global south. Because we only have a few minutes left, so I'll ask of you to give me a 1-minute final summary of your highlights. Maybe starting with Salina.
Thank you. Just to answer your question, you are absolutely right, King. We issue the largest amount of green and sustainable bonds in Asia, topping the Asian market at least from 2021 to 2023. The amount in 2023 is $30 billion US, so accounting for 37% of the market. But still on bonds, I want to add one point, if you allow. In the green bond program, we also try to leverage that with green technology, because we have tried out 2 tranches of tokenized green bonds, with the second one being the world's first multi-tranche, multi-dollar, multi-tenure digitally native tokenized green bonds. So I just want to add, and so with this, I think Hong Kong is very well positioned to combine the need for portfolio management, for fund managers, for banks, for investors, with the green agenda to achieve net zero climate change for the whole world. So we are very much eager and keen to do whatever we can within our policy portfolio, and we welcome suggestions so that Hong Kong will maintain our position as the go-to green finance hub for the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are actually combining Web3 with green finance. So,
Sure.
Anthony.
Okay, thank you. I would say that, standard setters, professional bodies, industry associations are actually playing a very key crucial role to echo what everyone have shared on the panel in a way that they are, I would say they do four things. First of all, driving standardizations and implementations. We could give a lot of examples, but in light of time, we'll just move forward. One of the key examples would be what World Benchmarking Alliance, WBA, has been doing in terms of setting measurements or benchmarking for Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. And that really helps corporates to have a good yardstick for that. In addition, for that, knowledge transfer and capacity building, technology transfer and innovation, and finally, supporting the global south and developing economies.
Thank you. Following the order, Albert.
All right, this I'm going to use my cheat sheet. To quote Warren Buffett, only when the tide goes out do you discover who has been swimming naked. That's exactly what is happening with the hydrogen economy. Because everyone looks at it with its constituents and not look at it together. So in the sense of going to college, they invest into mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, but not engineering science. That's exactly what SI Plus, what my invention does for the hydrogen economy before we get up to a certain level to become specific. With that, back to Mr. Feng's talk earlier. With the IWG, we're going through, thank you for them for taking us through the regulatory sandbox. What I believe IWG later on can do is promote PPPs with new technologies, whether it's with new energy or with other sectors or new other fields. Then with these PPPs, that's where we can push boundaries of promoting decarbonization, and then hopefully we can avoid a climate disaster.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the use of sandbox by regulators, by government is very important. Yeah, Salina.
So the previous speaker was mentioning about expansion accelerator. United Nations actually just issued a report before COP, right? This is dubbed the finance COP, quote unquote. And the new collective quantified goal, they're saying that maybe it's like 10x to what the number was, like when they were looking at the report last time. So where does the 10x of the money come from? And it has to come from a combination of private sector, public sector, and the likes of PPP, where like banks can come in, private sector, multi-development banks can de-risk part of the project. This is actually a perfect accelerating example of how like a financial center like Hong Kong, where the private capital is, where there is a good structure of financial market with all the policy and standards, can actually play a unique and important role to actually pull the lever to move the 10x of the money to the right place. And banks are here to help as part of the private sector. We will definitely, very much keen to explore this together with all the key players in the market.
Thank you. On that note, please join me in thanking our panel speakers, because they've highlighted really the importance of PPP, because the transition problem is too big for any single party to handle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Au and the panelists. I would like to note that our Secretary for Environment and Ecology, Mr. Jie, is actually in the audience. He really just got off the flight and joined us today. Mr. Jie, why don't you join us for a quick picture, please? Daniel and Amos, why don't you join us as well? And Plato, please. All right. Now, before we end the event, I would like to invite Ms. Salina Yan to remain on stage to give us the concluding remarks. Thank you. Ms. Yan, please.
Secretary there, Plato, Daniel, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for the chance for the last word. I think Friends of the Earth Hong Kong and the Financial Services Development Council deserve a big applause for organizing this event on the first day of COP29 here in Baku in the China Pavilion. Thank you so much. My deep appreciation also goes to the Ministry of Ecology and Environment for its continued support to the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region's participation in COP-related activities, where we can share Hong Kong's perspective in contributing to the global efforts in combating climate change. We gather here today to discuss the pressing issue of scaling up transition finance in the journey to achieve a net zero global economy. The discussions just now have given us much food for thought. I, for one, have been much enlightened by the valuable views expressed by speakers from the perspectives of financial institutions, civil societies, the academia, and green technology enterprises. This fully demonstrates that we need concerted efforts from all sectors of the society to deliver the goal for sustainable growth and ultimately survival of the global village. Harnessing our strength as an international financial center with robust capital markets, Hong Kong can definitely help advance transition finance and cross-border green finance. We have mainstreamed green finance in our financial services policy formulation and implementation. The results have been very encouraging. To name but a few, the issuance of a total of 220 billion Hong Kong dollars of green bonds under the government green bond program has helped finance more than 110 eligible green public projects. The bonds with tenure ranging from 1 to 30 years and denominated in different currencies, including renminbi, euro, and US dollars, have been well received by international institutional investors and, where applicable, local retail investors with oversubscriptions. Mainland municipal or provincial governments, including Shenzhen, Hainan, and Guangdong, have also used Hong Kong as the platform to issue offshore renminbi bonds, including green and blue bonds in Hong Kong. And after 2 tranches of tokenized bond issuance, we are set to deepen the technological application in issuing future tokenized bonds. Separately, we now have over 230 authorized ESG funds with assets under management over 1.3 trillion Hong Kong dollars. We will soon consult our industry on proposals to expand the tax concession arrangements for funds and single-family offices to cover emission derivatives and emission allowance. On market infrastructure, the Hong Kong Taxonomy for Sustainable Finance, published in May, provides a clear classification of green activities in sectors of power generation, transportation, construction, and water management. We will be consulting, again, the industry on the expansion of this taxonomy to cover transition activities. Our carbon market trading place, our Core Climate, provides access to quality carbon credits from over 50 self-certified projects across Asia, South America, and West Africa. These projects span vital initiatives in forestry, solar, wind, biomass, and we are open to exploring even more cooperative initiatives in this space. On sustainability disclosure, we published a vision statement in March this year outlining Hong Kong's vision to align Hong Kong's requirements fully with the International Financial Reporting Standards, or ISSB standards. For this, the Hong Kong Institute of Certified Public Accountants completed a public consultation last month.
And we will launch a roadmap on the full adoption of the ISSB standards within this year, making Hong Kong one of the very first jurisdictions to align its local requirements with the ISSB standards. For bankers in the room, you will also be aware that the Hong Kong Monetary Authority has just issued a sustainable finance action agenda mandating all banks to strive to achieve net zero in their own operations by 2020 and in their financed emissions by 2050. We are going to lead by example to achieve net zero. And for the investment portfolio of the exchange fund, we are going to set the same goal to achieve net zero by 2050, and we will deepen the dedicated focus of this investment portfolio on transition finance activities. Lastly, we organized a very successful Hong Kong Green Week in 2024. We plan to do a rerun of the Green Week next year with participants from public and private sectors from around the world. The list goes on, but in essence, the building of a greener future hinges upon an enabling policy environment, robust market infrastructure, and determining efforts to align with international standards. To take this forward, the Hong Kong SAR Government, under the one country, two systems principle, has been taking multi-pronged measures to consolidate Hong Kong's strengths as an international finance hub. We will continue to coordinate actions to provide an ecosystem for green finance with the necessary knowledge, data, and technological support to the industry and society at large. On this opening day of COP29, I wish everyone meaningful discussions in the days ahead, and I look forward to pulling together the liquidity, the portfolio management need, and green finance, and serving the green sustainability purpose in Hong Kong and elsewhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Yan. And to this end, thank you very much for joining us today. I would like to thank again Mr. Plato Yip of the Friends of the Earth and Dr. Jeffrey Hong and his team for co-hosting this with us at the Financial Services Development Council. Thank you very much for joining us.